When I was in grad school, I went to school in Washington, D.C. I had an internship in the juvenile family courts in D.C. And a lot of it was clerk work, but a lot of it you could sit and kind of see cases and things like that. And the intention was law, I think, at first, and then when you kind of sit in a lot of the cases, you would see that when it came to casework, the lawyers really couldn't do anything without the caseworkers, and there was a lot of that I kind of got to observe, and I got more of a feeling that I wanted the opposite side of what was going on instead of the law side. I work for an organization called the Children's Village up in Harlem, New York is our office. Our main office is in Westchester. If there's no kind of craziness before 9 a.m., we have to do home visits. You have to visit your foster home at least once a month, so you kind of create your own schedule in regards to visiting the foster home. So on any given day, you can have 2 or 3 home visits. Sometimes we have to go to court in the morning whenever there's court cases. We also supervise visits, and then there's paperwork and meetings, supervision, things like that. So it's kind of a combination of any of those types of things on a typical day. It's intense. I've always worked with kids. I was a summer camp counselor. I worked with kids when I was in college, just through internships and things like that. They become your kids because you just are invested with them. You see them a lot too, and we have a lot of babies when you see them born, and then all of a sudden they're a year old. It kind of all gets to you at the same time, and the teenagers depend on you a little bit more than they do with other people, which you take very seriously, especially if it's a teenager in foster care when they need someone to talk to and they're going through all sorts of different things. So it becomes intense, and you can't help but get invested in situations like that. I think it's a lot of the little things. The little kids, let's say, aren't speaking at the age of 1 or 2, and they go to early intervention services, and then you see them, progress, and they start talking and they start walking, and you know that it's because, they got the services that they needed. Or when one of the teenagers brings back, an improved report card or a good behavior report from school, when these kids are not always the best in school, it's good. Or when, families get an apartment finally and are in those last stages of getting the kids discharged to them, or when they finish, one of their programs or one of their classes. I think it's a lot of the little things where you realize, okay, I helped. You can't do it all. They have to take it and run with it and complete it, but you know that you helped just by giving them a little push. I think it's important for a person coming into social work to understand that it's not cake, it's not easy, and you have to be able to know that you're going to have days that are bad, and you're going to have to get past those days in order to get to the bigger picture of helping these kids either go back home or finding a permanent place for them. And it doesn't happen overnight. But I also think there's a balance of you can't save the world, and you kind of have to do it one day at a time, and one child at a time, one family at a time, and you're not the only one doing it. You have to know when to ask for help. You have to know when you have to ask a question, or when you're doing something wrong, in order to get everyone kind of on the same page to focus on the children and the families. I think the main focus when you're doing work like this too is you do I do what I'm doing because of the kids. It really just all comes down to the kids. You know that you need to make sure that the kids get what they need to get and the services that they need to get, and you want to supervise that visit, and you want to get back to them in order to make sure that kind of they are where they are, and they're getting everything that they need, and they're with the family that's going to keep them safe for the long run.